Hey guys, what is up? So today we're diving into Rachel Leviss' podcast, Rachel Goes Rogue, Chapter 2, I'm Ready to Respond. If you're new here, I already did cover Chapter 1, her first episode, and as I'm filming this, Chapter 3 is already out, so that will be up this week as well because we are behind. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. So the first thing that Rachel talks about or dives into is the feedback that she's received from the first episode. And a lot of people complained that Rachel was smiling and laughing as she was talking about other people's pains and the whole Sandoval situation. So Rachel wants to set it straight that it's all anxiety based, that if you do see her laughing or smiling while she's talking about sensitive topics, it's not because she enjoys talking about these topics or finds it funny. It's purely because by default, when she gets anxiety or nervous talking about these deep situations or, other people's feelings and pain and trauma, it's her escape. So she does apologize. She is aware of the situation and she will try to improve. With that being said, she does say in the same sentence that she really wants this podcast to overall be a positive experience. So in this podcast, Rachel did watch the season 11 trailer for Vanderpump Rules, and she does get asked by one of the iHeartRadio producers, why do you think Tom Sandoval doesn't want to have Ariana buy him out of the house? Like, what is that all about? Do you think it's for a storyline? And Rachel responds that Tom really loves that home. Tom and Ariana, when they got together, they lived in this really ran down apartment. Like you would put a plate in the microwave, and when you press the button, apparently the lights went out. And Rachel basically says that the two of them, when they got together, they worked really hard throughout those years to buy that big home. And Tom really loves that house. Rachel believes that's also the reason why he didn't break up with her in the first place, is because he wanted to keep the home. Rachel goes on to say that Tom is being stubborn and it's not a storyline. On the other hand, she can also see why Ariana wants to buy him out. Like, you cheated on me, let me buy you out, leave. So she understands both parties here, but she does add here that Tom is being stubborn. And in my opinion, it sounded like Leviss was stating that Tom should just leave, take the money and buy something else. So the next question that gets asked by one of the iHeartRadio producers is that because Ariana is dating, do you think Tom should be dating as well? And Rachel's answer is, I don't care. When she was in that trauma treatment center, Tom was photographed with so many females on a weekly basis. So Rachel goes on to say that he couldn't even wait then, so she doesn't care. Now, I thought this was interesting. Rachel does mention or shares with us that she views it as a red flag when an individual is in a relationship and once that relationship ended, they get back into a relationship so quickly. And I found it interesting only because, Ariana did that, right? And now Leviss, she does state that this doesn't apply to everyone, but she generally views it as a red flag. So I thought when she said that, was she also talking about Tom? Was she talking about Ariana? But she does mention with herself, she's learned that she needs to grow, evolve before she could get back into another relationship. So in the trailer, James apparently said to Tom something along the lines of, you have so much growing up to do, it's sad. And Rachel gets asked, how do you feel about your ex telling Sandoval you have so much growing up to do? And Rachel responds, I find it very comical that James, out of all people, is telling someone else they have so much growing up to do, telling someone else how to live their life. She doesn't feel like James has it all figured out yet. So in the Vanderpump Rules trailer, Tom Schwartz, he also states or says something along the lines of, I don't know what the future will be for me and Tom, And so Rachel gets asked, do you think it's possible that the two Toms could end their friendship, could end the business? What's your opinion on this? And Rachel's like, the two Toms, those are the most codependent relationship on Vanderpump Rules yet. Rachel believes that there's no way those two can live without each other. However, she does share a time where she was at the trauma center, And when she was wanting to send letters to Tom Sandoval, Sandoval had directed her to send the letters to Schwartz. But then Schwartz and Sandoval had a falling out. Rachel believes that Schwartz was listening to a lot of outside people telling him to stay away from Sandoval because of his interesting recent decisions like Scandoval. Whatever the case may be, the two had a falling out. And then that's when Sandoval told Rachel while she was in the treatment center, don't send any more letters to Schwartz because Schwartz doesn't want to get involved anymore. He says that we're not friends. And then Sandoval directed Rachel to start sending the letters to the house where him and Ariana still resided together. One day, Rachel saw a lightning bolt on a postcard or a thunder on a postcard, whatever. She sent it out in the mail. And that night, Ariana was on Watch What Happened Live with Amy Cohen and revealed to the public that Rachel sends Tom letters. Rachel believes that Sandoval wanted Ariana to find those letters. And then Rachel keeps bringing the tea. Rachel adds that she thought that Sandoval having Ariana see those letters, Rachel felt like that was also a power play. So I was like, And you obviously can tell Rachel has done a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting on, did this happen this way? Or was Tom really trying to do this the whole time? So I love this. I think her podcast might be juicier than Vanderpump Rules. I'm just saying, like, because we get the tea. Like, this is the tea. Now, the next question, which a lot of people suspected anyways, but it was nice to hear a confirmation, was when did Schwartz find out about Rachel and Sandoval being a thing, hooking up, and yada yada? And Rachel responds that Schwartz knew from the very beginning. So basically, in chapter 1, Rachel, she goes into the first time her and Tom hooked up, which was in her car. And the next day, she had to film with Ariana. They shared an Uber together, right? But before that happened, Sandoval called up Rachel and was like, hey, how's everything? And Rachel's like, oh, I'm about to film with Ariana. Should we tell her? And Sandoval's like, no, we don't say anything. Don't say anything, right? But Sandoval was at Schwartz's apartment when this conversation was going on. So the producers, the iHeartRadio producers are like, so, did you have a say when Sandoval told Schwartz about the affair? And Rachel was like, no, we didn't even have time to discuss. Schwartz already knew. And Rachel does throw it out there that she doesn't want people to come for Schwartz because she felt like Schwartz was put in an impossible situation because even though Sandoval was saying it was okay for Rachel to come over to Schwartz's apartment because that's where they would meet. They would meet at Schwartz's apartment. Behind the scenes, Schwartz was trying to set boundaries. Schwartz didn't want Rachel over. He kept telling Sandoval to just break it off with Ariana. So I can definitely see why people would be upset with Schwartz. But Rachel says he was put in an impossible situation and it wasn't fair because he wanted to say something but couldn't. Now, backing up a little bit, so you have Rachel and Tom who hooked up for the first time. The next day, Tom and Rachel, they're on the phone. Tom's at Schwartz's apartment. They're talking about, hey, I'm filming with Ariana. And they both agree that they're not going to tell Ariana. So that night when they were going to film, Rachel and Ariana, they shared an Uber to the restaurant. And Rachel shares that it was an omen. It was crazy because before they walked into the restaurant, Ariana made this comment of, oh my gosh, I hate this place because I always meet people who say, oh, I hooked up with your boyfriend. And Rachel goes, mentally that night, I was not okay. Like I was drinking a lot. And that night, Tom actually called up the restaurant. Sandoval called up the restaurant and ordered a bottle of champagne to their table. And Rachel describes that night, she uses the word twisted because she felt like when Tom called the restaurant to send over a bottle to the table, she felt like Tom was celebrating their relationship. But it was twisted because Ariana was there. So she viewed it as, of course, oh, my boyfriend, brought champagne to the table. So now the next question by the iHeartRadio producers is the whole Tom Schwartz. Like, was that a cover-up? Were you wanting to hook up with Schwartz to take away the attention from you and Sandoval? And Rachel explains the story that, in the beginning, when there was an idea of her hooking up with Tom, getting together with him, he turned her down. And Rachel goes on to share that when she shared this information with Katie, because she had to, because she already knew Katie was going to know that she tried to hit on Tom Schwartz, her ex-husband, Katie basically drew a line in the sand and was like, if you do this, we can no longer be friends, right? So Rachel shares shortly after that, she had a conversation with Sheena. And she discussed with Sheena how she didn't want to pursue Tom Schwartz anymore because he's already turned her down. So she's not going to go down that path anymore. And of course, producers were like, well, wait, you're on a reality TV show. So never say never. Don't fully close the door on that. And that's when Rachel's like, I'm not going to pursue this idea of me and Tom Schwartz together because, he already said no. So I'm not going to push it. However, Rachel believes that someone got into Tom Schwartz's ears because shortly after that, Schwartz wanted to make out with Raquel or Rachel. So this incident that Rachel's referring to is the Cancun trip for Sheena's wedding. And of course, at this time, Schwartz, he knew about her being with Sandoval. And I guess after 2 mumbles later, Schwartz is like, hey, I really want to kiss you right now. I kind of want to kiss you, something along those lines. It is important to mention here that Rachel fully was playing a role. She shares with us that this was a storyline that she definitely wanted to happen because at the time, her and Tom Schwartz were single. Leviss also went as far as to say that she wouldn't have put it past Tom Sandoval to put this whole thing together. Like, for it to have been his idea to begin with, take away the attention from her and him, right? The producers asked Rachel, was Tom Sandoval supportive of this? And how could you kiss Schwartz knowing that Sandoval, you were dating his friend? And it's such a twisted question to ask because this whole time, Sandoval's in a relationship with Ariana. So it's so interesting for Rachel to be asked, how could you kiss Schwartz when, you're with Tom Sandoval, when in reality Sandoval's with Ariana? But anyways, Rachel's response was, one, Sandoval was 100% supportive of this for obvious reasons. But 2, she felt like she was putting on a show, being an actor. And she immediately got rewarded because after that kissing scene with her and Schwartz, that's when one of the producers came up to her and was like, okay, for your birthday, we can film and go glamping, which is what she wanted to do in the first place. So she felt like she did something right and she was being rewarded for it. And I felt really bad when she said that because obviously, these people, they're getting paid really great money per episode and yada, yada, yada. But to hear her say she got rewarded and she felt like she was doing something right, it felt, I don't know, something felt really wrong about that. Like, this is supposed to be we all know reality shows are not real, like, half the time, or more than half the time, let's be real, but no pun intended. I don't know, it was just something of this power dynamic, with the entertainment industry, like, you do this and you get this, it just felt wrong. Rachel does add that when it came to the reunion, because she jumps back to talking about that, Rachel mentions that Sandoval was just trying to keep his lies straight, and so he wasn't happy when Schwartz decided he wasn't going down with the timeline that Sandoval gave him. Rachel then gets asked, how does the fans' comments influence the storylines for the show? And Rachel's like, look, like the producers, their job is to know what the fans want. And sometimes what happens in reality makes its way into the show. Rachel mentions a time where she had gone to Trader Joe's, bought some flowers. She posted that on Instagram, and Peter Madrigal, the manager from SUR, had commented under those flowers, and then everyone thought that Peter bought her those flowers. Now, in my opinion, as soon as I heard that story, because I don't follow every single news about Vanderpump Rules or the cast, but when I heard that on the podcast, I was like, you know what? Peter Madrigal has been on the season since season 1. Now, he's not a main cast member, but he still gets paid a huge rate since he's been on the season since season 1, right? And I believe that Peter knew once he wrote under Rachel's post that people were going to think that. I believe that the reason why Peter was interested in Rachel was because she was on Vanderpump Rules. That's my take. I have obviously no evidence, but it's my opinion. So anyways, Rachel was like, fans, they thought he sent me those flowers. And we actually went on a date, and this was before filming. So they went on a date, and it was the worst date ever, Rachel says, not because of Peter, but because she was crying. You know, Peter was very understanding, but she was crying because she was just very confused about her and James, and Peter understood. So at the end of the date, Peter drives Rachel home, and then Rachel asks Peter to pull over, and then she vomits in the gutter because apparently she also had too much to drink that night. A week later, Peter messaged her and was like, it was a really great date and I hope we can go out again. And Rachel was like, that was a great date. So long story short, Rachel, she didn't view Peter in that way and felt like it was best if they just remained friends. Rachel made a comment on Watch What Happened Live about Peter that he's a starter pony, like he's a great starter to get back into the dating world. And that's not necessarily nice at all. Like, it's not like evil to say. It's definitely not a compliment either. So I completely 100% a million percent understand why Peter felt offended. So Rachel does apologize for that. Yeah. that wasn't nice. But when being asked, do you think Peter dated you because of the show, or do you think he truly had feelings for you? Rachel goes, that's really a question for Peter, because she doesn't know. You know, filming season after season after season, you have to question, is someone dating me because they really like me, or do they just want to be on the show? So to answer that question, she's saying, at least publicly, she doesn't know. I believe Rachel believes that Peter was dating her to be on the show. Only because she's like, that was a good date, because it wasn't. She threw up, you know what I mean? And I also believe Rachel thinks this is because she mentions that because Peter has a high paying rate, you know, if he gets with her and he's on the show, he gets paid more, you know, like he gets paid for every single episode. So of course that would work out for him financially. Now, the last question the iHeartRadio producers ask Rachel is, do you think if you were on the show today, do you think that Lala, Katie, the girls would give you a shot, give you a chance, want to hear your side of the story? And Raquel's like, no. Rachel feels like those girls, when she listens to the interview clips, they're just upset that they didn't have the opportunity to film more of those scenes of the whole scandal because it was so huge. You know, it was on TMZ like every single day, right? So she believes they just missed the filming opportunities, but they would have never really genuinely given her a shot. But that was the episode, chapter 2. I'm ready to respond. Rachel goes rogue. I'm definitely excited because right after I'm done posting this, I'm about to listen to chapter 3, and that should be out very soon after I'm done posting this. But yeah, like this is going to be very interesting because I want to know. I want to hear what Rachel has to say, because then you can kind of get to see what the entertainment industry, what they want you to see. And then you have Rachel who can do commentary and be like, you know what? He's really not like that. This is how he really is. I remember a time when yada, yada, yada. And that's what I'm here for. That's the tea. So I am very excited that she's doing this podcast. And yeah, I'm hoping that she'll get better with like the sighs and the shaky voice and the nervousness and the anxiety and all the et cetera and stuff like that. But anyways, it's still a podcast that's worth listening to. I love it. I'm here for it. And I'm about to listen to the next one. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye.